Okay, so what we have on the board is the alphabet or the bookstabe. Now, both the word basically mean the same thing. These are the characters that we use to write the German letters or the German words. Okay, now you will notice that the alphabet that you see on the board are the same as the alphabet that we use in English. And the reason is that both English and German follow the Roman alphabet or the Roman style of alphabet. Okay. Now, apart from the 26 alphabet that we have in German language, we also have three extra vowels, or we also call them umlaute. Umlaut, or the plural will be umlaute. Now here we saw the sound. Umlaute is more like a sub sound or a sound that is, we will be saying that how we often combine two sounds to produce that different sound. Okay, and that too we only have three of those. So there is a umlaut, then there is o umlaut and u umlaut. So only these three extra vowels are written the same way as they are in English. It's just that on the top of these three, we will be adding the two dots. Okay, so that's about the
Okay.
umlaut or the vowel sounds. Apart from these, we also have an extra character that looks like this. So if you assume that this is the straight line, you can either draw it like this or like this or like this. It totally depends on how you prefer writing it, and it is called the SZ, which is nothing but double S. Okay, but this is an extra character. We don't have this character in English. Now, around 20-25 years ago, there was a big reform in German language as it's written and how it is spoken. And as a part of that reform, German, Austrian, and Swiss linguistic boards, or the people from these three countries, and the people who worked mainly in the domain of languages, they made certain changes to how German is now going to be written or how it is going to be adapted in the real world. And because of that reform, the SZ, this character here, is used a lot in a lot in Austrian and German, but it's not really a part of Swiss German as it is with the rest too. Now, there is also one reason why Swiss names are often really longer, because they don't use the SZ, but they prefer writing double S instead. However, for us, the language that we are learning or we will be learning is called Hochdeutsch. That is the standard German, the highest form of a German. You can think of standard Hindi, for example, Khadi Boli, or standard Marathi, for example, the Marathi that you need to use if you want to write to, the police or the BMC or anyone, right? It's not necessarily the language that you speak at home, but it is the highest form of the language. Okay. Now, moving on with moving on to the alphabet that we have here. First, that is A. Okay, one more thing quickly. Do you understand or do you speak Hindi or Marathi?
Yes, ma'am, I speak Hindi.
Okay, perfect. The reason I asked you that is because then I can write the sounds in Devanagari. Because
Yes,
what happens in English is that we have a lot of or sounds, but in Hindi as well as in Marathi, we have a fixed range of sounds that we can convey with our script. isn't it? So
Okay,
that's
ma'am.
why what I'll
Yes,
do
ma'am.
is that as we learn the alphabet and what they're called, I'll also be writing its sound in Devanagari. So first, like I said, is A, then we have B, then we have C, the next D, then A, F, G, H, E, Yacht, Kha. Now this it's not Ka, but it's not Kha. It's in the middle. Kha. Then we have L, then M, then we have N, then the next is O, but it's a bit from our stomach. It's not O, it's O. Then next is P, then we have Q. It's not Q, it's Q.
Oh,
Then the next is air. This is very similar to the pronunciation of the English word air, but it's not air, it's air. The R is very subtle. Okay. Then the next is S,
okay.
T, that is T, U is U, V is FOW, then W is W, X is X. Now the case of Y is a bit different. It's called epsilon, as in the character itself is called epsilon, and Z is set. Okay, so to give you an example, my name is Aishwarya, and how will I spell it in German? It will be A, E, S, H, V, A, R, Epsilon, A. Okay, similarly, how will I spell your name? S, V, A, T, E.
E.
Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
all right. So, any doubts or any questions here with the alphabet, as in only
No, ma'am.
main alphabet that we are looking at? Okay. Now, apart from that, like I said, we have the S set. So it is either written like this, or like this, or like this. It totally depends on you. Now, this is also called sharpest S.
What?
Sharpest stands for sharp.
Okay.
Okay. So the difference mainly is that if you think of it in Hindi, if S, this letter is S, then this character SZ produces the sound S, the complete S sound. Okay, that's the major difference between S as in S and S. Okay, at least
Okay.
that is what my observation has been. And like I said, because with the base of Hindi and Marathi and the knowledge of Devanagari script, it becomes very easier for us to know the exact pronunciation of this particular characters. Okay. Now,
Okay.
apart from this, I had mentioned that we also have the umlaut. So we say them as a umlaut, a with two dots. So these dots sometimes are often called as umlaut themselves. So we have that for A, O, and U. Okay. Now, the way we pronounce these is basically we take the original character, that is A, and we add the A to it. Similarly, it's O plus A and U plus A. And therefore, if you are, say, typing a document, okay, and this only applies to computer, on as in typing on computer, not when you are writing something, that if you write like if you don't know how to write umlaut, it's completely fine if you write a together. Similarly, oa together and ua together. There are very good chances that if you do this, your like if it's a word or if it's Google keyboard, it will automatically suggest you to write the umlaut. But even if it doesn't, digitally it's completely normal to write AE, OE, or UE instead of the A umlaut. That is, if you don't know how to write it. Okay. Now, because we are
Okay.
combining these original German sounds with the German E that is pronounced as A, the sound is a bit different. So, A and A together becomes A, O and A becomes and and U and E, that is U and A becomes U. So A, U. It is going to take some time for you to understand the exact pronunciation. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share two videos with you.
Okay,
One
ma'am.
is going to be about the entire alphabet, that is the alphabet song, where you can practice the sounds of the alphabet. And the second video is going to focus only on these three umlauts. For sharpest S or SZ, you need not worry because this is what it is called, SZ
Yes, sir.
or SZ. Okay, you need not worry about what this character is called. It's just SZ. So the only long ones would be epsilon, that is Y, and SZ, that is the sharpest S. It resembles a beta sound. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. Now that's about writing it. Now coming to the pronunciation. First thing you need to understand when it comes to pronunciation is that writing any character, especially vowels, together, as in using double characters such as a, o, e, I, these do not change the pronunciation. Okay, so for example, in English, this would be a bot, but this would be a boot, isn't it? So for
Yes,
English,
ma'am.
these two do not share the same pronunciation, but that is not the case in German. So that is one very important thing that we need to know, that double consonant as well as double vowel don't necessarily change or produce any different sound. Okay, so that is one
Okay.
thing. Second thing is about the pronunciation of H. That is, if there is a vowel before H, then the H is as good as silent. We will not pronounce the H at all. The H will be silent.
Ma'am, 1 minute. I want to write this as a point.
Not a problem at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that was about H. Then the second thing, especially about pronunciation, is the case of R. Okay, so again, the R is not a rolling R. It's not R or R. It's not like that. It's very subtle. And often, if it's at the end of the word, then it might not even be pronounced.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, that's how soft the R in German languages. Okay, now what you have in this table, and this has been uploaded on the drive as well. First thing, you have the characters, the original alphabet. Then you have how one writes it. And then the next column is about how one speaks it.
Okay.
Okay, and this column belongs to the Beispiel, which means example.
Okay.
Okay, now if you take a look at how one writes it, you're also going to notice that the umlauts, that is A umlaut, O umlaut, and U umlaut, they are put under the same main vowel. There isn't a special row or anything for it. Okay, and same with SZ, you are going to see it along with S, not separately. Okay, now when it comes to the speaking part, that is how we pronounce it. I'll try to zoom it as much as possible, but here you might notice that there is a small dash below the A. Do you see it here?
Yes, ma'am.
It looks something like this, and then here there is a dot, and this one here is an
And the
A.
dot is not visible actually.
Yeah, the dot is not really visible, but you can make a difference from this A here and this one here,
Yes,
that there
ma'am.
is something below,
Yes, ma'am.
isn't it? So these two accents, the dash and dash, the dot and dash, they stand there to indicate the longer and shorter vowel. Now, when I say long and short, I don't mean and a. I mean a and a. That's the long and short. Okay.
Okay,
Now,
ma'am.
when it comes to learning German, you are going to find a lot of vocab lists and word list basically, but then very few of them are actually going to have these accents. Now if you think of English, the way we learned English was often through hearing someone else, isn't it? So the best practice is to hear carefully when I say something and try to remember the pronunciation as much as possible. But then this is also the reason why I mentioned that I will be sharing audiobooks with you. The reason is that with the help of the audiobooks, you can practice a lot more listening outside of what you already have in the course book and the Arbeitsbook. As in, apart from those textbook, you will have a wide range of words to listen to. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so what I'm going to do now quickly is that I'm just going to start reading these words here in the Beispiel. Okay, once again, like I said, these ones here indicate how we write them, and next to it is how we speak them or how we pronounce them out loud. Okay,
Okay, ma'am. Now, after you finish the explanation, can I copy all this?
yes, yes, of course, absolutely. All right, so first we have aber, yar, par. Now, why is it yar? Because going back to the alphabet, we saw that it's called yacht. Therefore, J in English, in German, is always associated with y sound. Okay, therefore it's yar and not yar. And again, this H is silent because it follows a vowel. So aber,
Yes, ma'am.
yar, par. arbeiten, krank, spät, wählen, Äpfel, läuft. Now, a umlaut with u is pronounced as oi. Therefore, this is läuft. Then, I, my, au, auch, brauchen. Then the next is b sound, bis, sieben. Now this means that there is a dash and b. This means for all the next alphabets as well, that the word ends with this particular character. And this indicates that when a word ends with b, there is a subtle per sound, verb. So it's not verb, but verb. Then the next is ch. Now in German, we don't usually find words directly starting from C like we do in English. For C, we prefer using the letter K in German. Therefore, the combination that is seen often is CH or CHS. So CH has two distinct sounds. One is that if it goes with I, then it takes the sh sound, strong S. And if it's with A or O or U, it's going to take the k sound. So this word is not ik, but ich. But this one here, this is not Marschen, but Machen. Similarly, this is not Kuchen, but Kuchen. Okay.
Okay.
Now, it just happens so that the pronunciation of ICH is the same as I and G together at the end of a word. Therefore, this word is wish dish. Wish dish. Okay. Then the next character is CHS, which is going to take the sound x, ks together. And you're going to see this here as well with x, because it's more or less the same sound. So this is zex, their next x sound. Okay. Then the next is day, which has two sounds, the and the. Okay. Now often if it's at the beginning of the word, it's going to take the. So this is das, and this is going to be the, finden. Okay, these are not hard and fast rules. We do learn these through practice and how we encounter these words. Then the next is the word that ends with D as well as D or T. Both will have a subtle T. So this word here is not builder, but built. Similarly, this is not starter, but start. Okay. Then the next vowel that we have, which does not take an umlaut, that is A. So again here, even if it's double A, it's going to be A only. The sound is not going to change to E. So leben, mehr, geht, essen, lernen. Now whenever a word ends with A or AR, this pronunciation is going to be O at the end. So this is not flasche, but flasher. Not mutter, but mutter. Okay. Then again, the next pair
Okay.
that has OE pronunciation, that is AU together. So euch, heute. Now here it's two vowels together, and therefore this CH takes sh sound. Had it been only U, then it would have been k. But this is euch. And the next is heute. Then F F sound, flasher, often. Gay, G sound, gern. But if a word ger, but if a word ends with gay, then it has subtle k. So this is not tiger, but tag. Then next, her sound, hysen. Now here you will see this produces the say sound. It's not so. Hysen, helfen. Then E has a lot of combinations that create the same sound. That is E. So that is E, E-A, E-ha or E-A-ha. Klinik, lieben, lean, read. And if it's shorter than immer, links. Now again, this is something that we saw earlier with Vishtish, that ending with IG has the same sound as ICH. So wish, tish, both take the ich. Then yacht, yar, yuli, k, Käse, Bäckerei, L or double L, Leben, billish. L sound as it is. Then we have M, hold on. Mensch, immer. So this is not necessarily immer, but immer. N, nach, beginnen. O, a bit of sound that's coming from the stomach. So this is gross, zone, boat. This word will never be boot, because like I said, in German, even double vowels will have the same sound. Then oft, kosten, öl, schön, Söhne, können, Park, Suppe, Alphabet, Saxophone, quiz, just like the international pronunciation, rests, Rhythmus, hair. That was with R. Then with S. Now S often, if a word starts with S, then it is going to have Z sound. So this is zish, zona. But in the middle, it's going to go back to being so. So this is essen. Then zona, sehen. This is not sehen, but sehen. Then the next is SCH. So that is sure again. Schön, Geschenk, SP, Sp, spät, Sprechen. Now ST, you can see here, it has two sounds. One is st and the other is st. So if it's ST is in the beginning of a word, it's going to be st. So Stug, stehen. But if it's in the middle, then it's Samstag, lustig. Again with the IG, lustig. And S has the complete S sound, gross, heißen. Okay. Then T often has T sound as well as T sound. So this is Tag, theater, bitter. But TION always takes ts sound. So this is information. Then we have U, longer, good, Uhr, shorter, Bus, with an umlaut, über, früh, müssen. Then with the case of V, V, is that if it's an internationally adapted word, then it's going to keep its V sound. Otherwise, if it's an original German word, then it's going to take the F sound. So that's why this word is Verreieren, but this is feel and Vater. Okay. This is something that we learn, of course, with practice. We get acquainted with how and when to pronounce it as f and when to pronounce it as v. Okay.
Okay.
Then the next is way. Again, v sound one, schwimmen. X has the x sound, praxis, boxer. Ypsilon takes the sound of umlaut. So this is not typisch but typisch. Typisch symbol. Okay. And then the last one, Z, takes Z sound. So Zahl, ankreuzen.